Hey everyone, welcome to Shunya One, episode 187. Today I had a very interesting chat with an old friend, Piyush Ranjan, who is the CTO at Coverfox, but someone who has also been a part of the India startup ecosystem with some very iconic companies at the early stage. All the way from Clevertap to Ola to Browser Stack to Coverfox today. We had a really good chat talking through the early days of those companies, his role as a builder, as an engineer, tech challenges, all the way to what Coverfox is doing today, and the very interesting space of insure tech. So I think you'll really enjoy this conversation, especially if you're a techie. So let's take a break, come back, and have this chat with you.
Hello, everybody. It's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On The Habit Coach, Ashton talks to Varun Dugirala, host of Advertising is Dead, on what motivated him to talk about and learn more about the effects of the mind. On Smarter with Sid, Siddharth talks about how to make meetings more productive. On This Round is on Me, Gauri is joined by Harshil Karia, founder of Shebang and co-founder of Level. He shares his perspective on balancing his work across various businesses. On the Musafir Stories, Keshav takes us on an amazing temple tour in northern Karnataka. He goes to Badami, Ehole, and Patadakal, amongst others. And on the Wire Talks, Siddharth dives deep into the birth of our national flag in his conversation with guest Arundhati Virmani, Indian historian and author. Once again, I'd like to remind you all, please do check out our merch. It's available on IVM Podcast website. Go click the shop tab and you'll be able to see our first collections of t-shirts. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Remember, we got a bunch of YouTube channels as well. And if you want to check that out, go to our website, ivmpodcast.com/YouTube. We have a list of all those channels. And remember, do tell a friend if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter. Word of mouth is one of the most important and best ways for us to get the word out about this podcast. Also, it's a way for you to have discussions about a podcast with your friends. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Boat Lifestyle, Checkpoint Software, Small Case, and Intel vPro. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Hey Piyush, hi, welcome to Shunya One. So good to see you
Hey,
after
Sheila.
a long time.
Same here, man.
How's
Awesome
how's
to
it
see
going?
you.
How's it been? I know we have caught up in the real world in the past. Of course, अभी virtual मिलना हो रहा है, and
Yes.
I hope to do so actually also at some point. But it's been quite a while, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we met back in 2018 or 19.
Correct,
Yeah, before
correct.
COVID,
And your
pre-COVID.
exactly. And your personal journey as, let's say, an entrepreneur, founder, to obviously now, the CTO at Coverfox. I mean, I think you've also been a part of the startup ecosystem in India in various stages and phases. So why don't we start off, just for everyone listening in, to give them some background of your personal journey a little bit, like why you got into what you did, uh, the early days, the early startup successes, failures, and of course to what your journey has taken you to now.
Right. So I feel I am more of an engineer than a founder. I really like to. I really like the some of the things that I have done in my career. Uh, the founding companies is very hard, and I have never uh, upbringing wise also I am not very risk taker kind of mentality. So specifically when it comes to money, etc., like business wise.
But you're a
So
builder, which is what engineers are. So builder hote ho to,
basically,
it's formula for founders anyway.
yeah. So that is there, but like mostly I've been always been a builder. So uh, back from school days actually. So I saw 486 computer that was there in my school, and there was a very nice computer teacher who came from US and taught us some came back from US, and he taught us some Q basic and some general programming, and I was really like somehow madly deeply in love with programming since like I was in sixth or seventh standard. We didn't had computers back then, right? You
Right.
would remember
Yeah.
those
It would
days when
only be labs.
they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no phone, no internet, no internet was not there. I'm talking about 96, 97, right? When I first
Yeah.
saw a computer. Computers were all these green screen kind of things. But yeah, so it started from back then. Like, I've been coding. I, I, I was that time. All these magazines used to be really big. Digit, Chip,
Yeah.
it was as it was called, and there were a lot of articles. So I read up this about this particular editor, Hindi editor, which was phonetic in nature. So you Visvik, what you type is what you get. So because
Yeah.
Hindi is or Hindi or Kannada, the languages are like, they what you write is how you also pronounce them. So and it was really fascinating. So uh, I designed a editor, Hindi editor. It took me about like lot of time to do that, and essentially was the start. Then suddenly one day I saw HTML, and somebody said that you can, and that was the first time I saw internet. So somebody taught me some basic HTML, and it was really fascinating. So I've been coding, like,
Nice.
I've been coding since then. Even in college, I was like, I was in a different stream, like normal engineers do when they get what choice, not the choice of the branch, is not a luxury that used to be there back then, at least. But I always was coding. I was coding web programming. I was on Ruby on Rails in 2006. It came out, I think, in 2004, and so
Wow.
I've been
Nice.
coding web programming, PHP, Node.js
You've
since
seen
very
all
early days.
the language variations basically over the
Yeah,
years and choices of language also. Nice.
I didn't have to do CGI, but yeah, I'm
Wow.
thankful for
Okay.
that.
That
But
was
mostly started with
Pearl.
PHP,
Yeah.
PHP, Perl, Ruby, Python, a little bit. Yeah, Node.js, JavaScript. I've seen how, yeah, back in the day when Rhino, JavaScript interpreter, like, or a framework rather, I would say,
Hmm.
it was pre Node.js. And at that time, we had these one of the programmers was really crazy about server side JavaScript. So and we used to mock him, like, JavaScript like on server side. But like now,
Yeah.
look at the world, like it has
Yeah.
completely
It's
changed.
fully Java on the server.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So like that's what I have been doing. I've been doing web programming since start, like, because like I really liked it. I've worked with Clevertap in very early days,
Right.
and after college, after a brief stint at another company, I joined Clevertap, and I had a really crazy time learning web programming, learning product building, because
Correct.
some of the guys were there, and the company itself is a pioneer in
I would say so.
to
Yeah.
some extent, in terms of, like, clean design and building a product and
Correct.
building great user flows. A lot of people have gotten inspired because of the people that were there initially, and I was one of them. I got really, inspired that, it doesn't have to be like 99 websites, geocities.
Correct.
It can be neat and clean and like an easy to use application. So I did that. Then I was building a after that I was building a core banking system, kind of thing for microfinance companies, which was a really alternate thing that was I was doing in terms of domain, but it somehow got
Right.
into that again. A great mentor, and really loved working on that product. Um, then I joined the microfinance bust happened, and this was SaaS before it was called SaaS.
Hmm.
So we were selling
Hmm.
this software as a SaaS offering, and that allowed microfinance companies to work as a as a cohesive digital entity, which was working pretty well. But then this 2010 11 types, there was a big, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
thing happened in microfinance, and a lot of my clients who were there went under. We were doing pretty decent amount of business that back then, but suddenly, like, market changed. Then I joined this new company named Ola, and I met
Yeah.
Bhavish one day, and Ankit Bhati, and I decided that I want to join. A lot of people
This was
around
when
me were.
Ola was in Bombay and Powai
Ola was
days.
in Bombay, had not built an app and not
Right.
started the A to B business. It was mostly a rental company that back then, but he had raised money to build this, and we wanted to actively build it. That's when it started. We were mostly running off a call center. There was no app back then,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Mostly people were not like that. Just 2012, early 2012, like
Right.
mobile had just started happening. So yeah, it was like a crazy ride. Early days of Ola, it was maddening. It was really crazy. Learned quite a lot. Yeah, it was Ola. I
Right.
saw the real power of you know mobile phones like at that point of time. Ola, I feel, was at the right point, right?
Mm-hmm.
When the sensors, GPS sensors, like before that,
Correct.
was not something that you put in a car or map driven driving was not something that people believed that could happen.
Was
Just
possible.
like
Yeah.
just like you don't right now you don't see how autonomous cars can happen in India, right? I mean, that was the day. Like, can mapping even work in India? That's
Correct.
kind of. I'm not saying autonomous cars will happen in India. I'm just saying that it was very crazy to even
It's
think
yeah.
that
It's
people
the
can.
skepticism is similar, right? Because you
Yeah,
do,
yeah,
you just can't understand. Okay, how will this ever work? But yeah,
yeah,
true.
yeah.
True.
It's because just yeah, I mean, US or Western world is so organized when it comes to public places, and so disorganized when it comes to here. It was like map navigation was something that was considered to be a pretty much a Western thing.
Correct.
So
Correct.
yeah, I mean, it was really wonderful that it really happened. That things like in last 10 years, I feel the country has accelerated like crazy in terms of
Of course.
changing the urban landscape, and even in people's the kind of enablement that digital India has done, right? I mean, the YouTubes and the internet itself.
Right.
In when I was in school, and when you were also in school, I believe that having so much information or so much knowledge,
Yeah.
there are
Was
places where you
unheard of,
can
and
go
we
and
didn't
learn.
even think it was possible. We used to have to go to the library at most, which also is a
Yeah,
finite store,
very finite
finite, I
and
would say,
very
information set.
restrictive. Yeah,
Yeah.
comparatively. Yeah. So it has really accelerated. I mean, the whole world has in a way, but
Correct.
like for us, it has been really transformative. I believe even in 1999 2000, if you really wanted to learn HTML, there were not good website, not a lot of
No,
good websites that were there
you have to
to
get the
learn.
dummies book maybe, and that was your first
That
sort
was
of
really
entry level.
horrible. Yeah,
Yeah.
those books were
But
not like
e- even in those early days, you've been part of these iconic sort of companies, I would say, at the early stage, right? Ola. Uh, what was the kind of thought at that time of? I mean, there's the business side of things, like, hey, we must build this sort of company and hence uh, take the market opportunity. It's a large opportunity. Something will change, etc., etc. But on your domain, right, on the tech side, were there limitations to or challenges to even build tech out of, in each of the cases, even
yeah,
Cleartrip for that matter? Early Cleartrip was obviously path breaking, but I'm sure under the hood there was a lot going on which had to
yeah,
be, figured out, which was novel.
yeah.
Same with Ola. And since then, I'm sure all of these companies have gone through like 5 rewrites or 10 rewrites. But how did it look in those early stages of these big companies?
So yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. That at that point of time, Java was not really this, established language. It was like a lot of it was PHP, to be honest, and
Right.
or Perl, and people like there was no JavaScript library also, like which was very established. jQuery was just coming out. when we were there, and there were like these smaller libraries which are like Prototype or JS,
So
and
was it
there was
more
no React. Like,
yeah, so was
yeah,
it more like, I mean, when you hired a team, let's say, or when you had to hire new
yeah,
engineers, you obviously looked at IIT and the pool of people around, but uh, talent was also short. Like there were not people away, let's say, equipped on these newer platforms also. So
yeah.
how did you go
That
about?
is. Yeah.
Hmm,
Yeah. In Clevertap, we never hired specifically from IITs. In fact,
hmm,
most of the people at that point of time, like, didn't want to join a startup. They did not know what a startup was like.
correct. That's true.
Starting your own company was not something that you did back then.
Correct.
Like,
Correct.
where I come from, people
Very few
like,
people did.
very people even like, think that you can actually start a company. I mean, that's just like, companies are just there. You join them, you don't start one. so,
Hmm,
yeah, and that has also has been a major shift, right? I mean, people
correct.
now believe that people can start companies, and people can, run large successful companies, and from grounds up they can boot it up, if you might.
Correct.
So I mean, that has been that was very challenging in terms of hiring people, but they were still there. There were FSF groups. There were people who were very interested in open source, and you could chat with them on IRC and all of that. And smart young freshers who would like to learn new things. They were they were they were still there. I mean, I didn't know
Right.
any Ruby on Rails before 2006. I started doing some Ruby on
Self
Rails when
draw. Yeah.
I started doing Ruby on Rails first time in Cleartrip. We were also very I would say, like, that thing is there, right? When you don't know how hard it is, then you are a little bit foolish, but it becomes a little bit easier also, because you don't know
Correct.
that.
Because you don't think of it as such a big problem.
Yeah, you don't feel that it can't be done with, or it can't be done with only two or three engineers. Then you try it, like, and things are also easier, I would say, because
Hmm,
less number of abstraction layers are there. So I've always been a full stack engineer. uh,
hmm.
Pre-React days. React, I like, have very hard time picking up. But in pre-React days, it was like, yes, admittedly, very dirty code comparatively,
Hmm.
and very haphazard, at least on the front end side. But we could make it work with whatever tools were there. These tools were, I would say, also more closer to the metal. So the
Hmm.
kind of power you get is more. You can do more things than it is what it is designed for. When you have a lot of framework and what a lot of layering, then you can do only those things.
Yeah.
Those
In
things are
fact,
easier to do.
yeah.
But yeah,
That's the
sorry.
advantage of, let's say, someone who's a full stack also, right? You're actually interested in understanding how these lower layers of the stack can be made more optimal, can be made more efficient. So you'll obviously build
Yeah,
your, you know, understanding of technologies accordingly. Which also brings
yeah,
me to the next iconic company. I think now in retrospect, you can also say was Browser Stack, which
yeah,
also you were
yeah,
very early on at, and that
yeah,
was not just software, obviously. I
yeah,
mean, well, on the surface, but I remember a story you once told me about the fact that so much understanding of hardware also that you had to do
yeah, yeah, yeah.
when building the, let's say, the rails of Browser Stack. How was that experience?
So Browser Stack is a very unique company, I would say. I mean,
Hmm.
when you look at it, you can't say that it started from Andheri, and it's a it
Global
has a
unicorn.
product which
Yeah.
is global unicorn, and a product that is truly, like, right up there, better than
Right.
most of the Valley competitors. That's generally not how, at least till that time, Indian stories were there. But these two guys are certified crazy, right? I mean, they both
Hmm.
are like completely unhindered by whatever is there has been there, and they're ready to, write their own playbook. And that was required, because both Ritesh and Nakul are really, like, they know what they're doing, first of all, and they would not take anything half. They would not take anything even at 90%. They want at
Mm.
things at 100%. So that always was
The
the driving
philosophy, like,
factor. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And it's a hard problem. It's a really hard problem because it's also very messy at the once you have built it. There would very few people who would actually try to build it again because, like, these
So what
they
was the challenge there? Like, what made you actually go from, let's say, Ola to Browser Stack, and how did that actually happen? What was it like early days?
So Ola, like, Ola, when we started, we were like in clear trip mode, like, 10, 20 engineers trying to build something. We built the apps, we got the driver app running. So, like, it was really, there were a lot of flaws in the early days, and the hardware was also not up to the mark. But then after some time, we realized that, it requires many more engineers than what we can hire in Mumbai.
Mm.
So we started office in Bangalore, and then we realized that there's so much talent there that, positions that were we thought will never get filled got filled in a day. And
Wow.
that's when they took a call to, shift completely. And I didn't want to, you, I was a true blue Mumbaikar that time, so I didn't want
Correct.
to move out from Mumbai and move completely to Bangalore. I did work there for one more year, but I realized that, I need to do something. And BrowserStack has been there. Like, I've been meeting them. I know a lot of people there still. Like, they've been a very interesting company since very start. So I've been, I really
Mm.
wanted to also work in a pure tech company at some point of
Correct.
my career, because I've been doing only web programming, which is like, script kiddies. So
Correct.
and BrowserStack was really, like, at the forefront. So one day, definitely, living away from the headquarters doesn't really help you. So one day I
That's right.
decided to jump the ship. Yeah.
Wonderful. On that note, I'm going to take a quick break, come back. Piyush, I mean, I think the story of all of these sort of iconic companies to now, what you're again building in the current age of startups in India is what I want to get into. But before that, a short break, and we'll come right back.
Previously on Varta Lab. After 3 wonderful seasons, Akash and Naveen went their separate ways in search for glory, comedy, and comedy glory. But all they found is long transit time, bureaucracy, and upset stomachs. Now, after 3 years of collecting stories and hustling,
I can't mention. Bullies. There's no need to overact. Bullies.
Akash and Naveen are back at the lab
Let's do it.
with
Stories. We've got stories. They're a little bit of funny and a little bit of dissembler. You wanna hear them? It's got humans. They're sitting in a box and talking bold at Barthol.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. We're talking to Piyush about obviously his journey as a builder, as an engineer. Like I was saying, you've been, instrumental in building actually the stack, early stack of a lot of these companies. And then, of course, you had your own founder stint as well, and early Bombay founder also, I would say, which is probably when I first got a chance to interact with you. So tell us a little bit about Dormant, which was your own startup.
So Dormint started off as a services company, online app-based services. Till, like, this was 2015, and we were very.
Correct.
By that time, it was very sure that, mobiles have happened. Everything will move to mobile. In fact, Flipkart went app only, right? You remember Myntra went app
Yeah,
only for
Mintra,
some
Mintra
time,
went
right?
up.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So those crazy days were there. Like, people realized some backtracking happened, but apps were very sure, like, they were the future. And we were like, this Urban Clap had just started, and there were a bunch of
Right.
these startups that were happening. We started a laundry app basically, because we felt that it's a very large problem set, because people are buying newer, like better clothes, people are buying more modern clothes, and there's no way to for a single person or a a young couple don't have a time and space to do laundry. And the quality dry cleaning kind of startups, like shops, are really expensive.
Correct.
But you are buying Zara clothes, you're buying Mango clothes, you're like buying all these branded really expensive clothes, and you can't really give it to the dhobi, and
Correct.
neither you can give it to the dry cleaner. So there was a middle path. I think we built a significant enough traction there. The problem is, at that point of time, was obviously there was a bit of a funding slump that happened in between. We raised some money, Series A, I would say, small Series A round, and we took the company to Google Accelerator in Mountain View, and it was a very fun learning experience. Learned
Right.
a lot about digital marketing, a little bit of growth hacking, etc. Obviously, there were teams doing it, but I was there learning directly from these people, and learned a little bit about product management, about funnel analysis, and things like that. App was uh, app worked out well in terms of booking a laundry, etc. But the unit economics was not there. Unit economics was really poor because of more than two legs of delivery and pickup. Hyperlocal was still very nascent back then. And
Right.
in hindsight, maybe there were like issues of acquiring wrong types of customers, deal hunters, and discount coupon looking
Correct.
guys for look. And maybe the value would have been more if we would have looked for more deeply with for people who really had this problem and were not shy of spending a little bit of money on getting the laundry done. But I feel the problem is still there. There is nobody who has
Hmm.
solved this problem in the
Correct.
way that we thought that we would,
Correct.
we would solve it. Like, and
I
we
was
had
definitely a
done so.
user, so I remember
Yeah.
it was useful as long as it was around.
Yes. And we got that feedback from a lot of people, but then didn't happen. So yeah, that was that.
Interesting. Bringing us to, obviously, then you went back to the startup ecosystem at large. I think you had a second stint at Ola, and then further now,
Yeah.
obviously you are the CTO at Coverfox. So how has that been? And what are your learnings from the second phase as well? Because I think very few people get to do these sort of early stage, uh, when everything is new, kind of a situation in
Yes.
a company, to founding, to now coming into, let's say, a fully functioning, well-oiled machine of a company, and then trying to
Yeah.
solve bigger problems.
I mean, founders get to see that,
Right.
and some fortunate people get to see that. But it teaches you a lot. It teaches you the power of, or the you can call it a power, but it's basically the initial decisions that you take and how they pan out, the mistakes and the good things that you do bake in early into the company,
Right.
the culture, the team, the people, and the products also. As an engineer, it teaches you quite a lot. Always there are shortcomings in the early design that you do, early decisions that you take, and how they become
Yeah.
a monstrous problem. I had some cockroaches there. Like, Ola was literally a nuclear bomb on top of some of my systems. Some of them survived. I was very thankful for some of them survived. Most of them did not. They were like they died in various different types, various different reasons, and the various different settings they died. And yeah, but some of them did survive. Obviously, I mean, we had grown from the time I had left and from the time I joined. It has grown 100x. Uh,
Yeah.
and the number of, just looking at number of bookings kind of scale, right? And it grew
Right.
2-3 times from there. So it was
Right.
really enriching experience to work, because this time when I joined, I had always had this I have never seen like such large scale, like massive scale, like million RPM kind of scale, and that taught you quite a lot. Like um, then you realize that some of the if these companies, like the decisions that you took and the systems that you built, and if they were not robust enough, then they would not survive. They will give very hard time to people. They will curse you. Some
Yeah,
people who will say
down the
that this
road.
is the original
Correct.
guy who wrote this. But yeah, you took those decisions basis the thought process that you had, or the world vision, the worldview that you had at that point of time. But
Correct.
the worldview changes very drastically after some time. So yeah, it was really enriching experience. I saw through many churns in the second one also. In terms of scalability, that was pretty much the key thing that we worked on, the app scalability, making it scale
Correct.
to tens of millions rides per day kind of scale. It's not easy. It's a very hard problem. uh,
Correct.
and this time also you realize that you are you as a leader can really change things. It's not just cog in the wheel. The decisions that you take have far reaching ramifications. So it's a different world, much more structured, much less crazy, uh,
Right.
but more. Yeah, I mean, if you're really sincere about the work you do, this will teach you much more in terms of who generalist versus specialist kind of thing, basically.
Right. So tell us about then the finally, of course now, yeah, I would call you in the tech part of the ecosystem. Definitely, you're a veteran now, and right now at Coverfox, which is a whole another new, let's say, domain you've entered
Yeah,
from the various, let's say, domains that businesses that you've been a part of. And but I can imagine technology and the technology stacks are similar, but there's obviously a lot of choices, a lot of decisions, a lot of innovations that you may have to do based on the domain and the business that you're in. And
right,
Coverfox is obviously in the business of insurance. It's tech driven insurance. It's, I mean, within, let's say, the larger fintech story of India, it's one of those, if I may call it, insure tech. I mean, now since it's a little popular, commoditized, you can say. So what was the vision going in, and can you tell us a little bit about how you're building the business out? What are the various pillars of the tech stack, especially?
right. So tech stack is the key that is there for Coverfox, and I'll definitely cover that in a bit. But the problem statement is very simple. It's actually to some extent uh, just like early days of Cleartrip or early days of Ola. This world has not happened yet, so it seems
Yeah.
very ridiculous that 100,000 or 500,000 drivers would be driving taxis on Indian roads, and everyone will be using map navigation, or people will be 50% of the flight bookings will come from digital channel. That's just not possible. Like if you talk to an insurance guy, because they see only 1 to 2% digital channel happening, and
Purchase.
despite not that people are not pouring money into it, it's just not happening. And even if it
And this
happens,
is the
still
current
requires a
stat? Is that what it is? Like
yeah,
one two
yeah,
percent of the industry of insurance is digitally purchased. Wow.
yeah, yeah. And it is not a very different number across the world. Actually, most of the insurance is still sold in a push kind of manner, right? I mean, you buy insurance either when it is mandated, like a motor insurance, or it's given to you by the company, like the group health insurance that you have,
Right.
or there is some very uncertainty hits you in terms of, like, life event that happens, or when you hit certain life events, like marriage or childbirth, or you buy a home, then
Correct.
you think of, like, what if something happens, and then people buy term insurance. So that's how it is, but most of it requires, like, you put in a number and there will be hundreds of calls that come to your phone, and people push you
Correct.
in buying, or there is, that is the digital world actually. And the non-digital world is, like, a guy who is an agent, and mostly you buy from them. And they serve a purpose. They serve a big purpose. That's why these products have not moved significantly to digital, even though it's a very large industry. Insurance in India is more than $100 billion right per annum
Wow.
revenue, not market cap, right? So it's a
Wow.
very
Okay.
large.
And you're talking about, and this is not is this like some of premiums paid or sort
This
of
is
a
sum of
figure or?
premium plate, just GWP we call it,
Wow.
but it's like it's sum of all premium paid in a year, basically.
It's a
So
hundred
it's a
billion dollars.
it's
And
almost 7.5 lakh crore if you convert it in
yeah,
Indian rupees, like
yeah.
now very close to 8 lakh crore, I think. And this is life plus general combined. General means motor, health, fire, house, anything non-life. And life products are essentially two. Health comes in general insurance mostly, and life products cover two. Life covers asset kind of product where you buy a product and there is a pension
There's a
guaranteed or
return.
savings plan
Yeah, yeah.
like LIC, and return, guaranteed return, or but it works mostly like a
Like an investment
SIPs,
product. Yeah.
like an investment product, but it comes with a cover. It comes with a
Correct.
cover of, say that if something bad happens, then this is the cover. And then there is pure term plans. Term plans are
Correct.
pure protection. You don't get anything at the end of it. Or there are now newer products called return of premium, where you just get the return of the premium at the end of the term product. But life products are 50% of the market, and general insurance roughly 50% of this market. So or it's like 60-40, but something like that. It's not very different. And both are different set of companies. There are almost 50 companies, more than 50 companies actually, which offer insurance. And still we are at, there is a metric which tells how much insured you are as a country. So we are like a 2 to 3% of the GDP being insured kind of country, right?
Wow.
And
So massive room for growth.
in US it is like, in China it is like 11%, as far as I remember, and in US it is even bigger number. So I mean, huge room for growth. And not just that, the biggest thing that I see is that these products are so complicated that it requires a push sales, right? And that's what the whole promise of insured techs essentially is, that the products themselves have to become so much simpler, so much easier to buy, that you should be able to just buy it, like, or it
Correct.
should just be invisibly embedded like a warranty product. When you are buying a laptop, you're buying Apple Care, which is like a warranty. And
Correct.
when you're buying a phone, you just click a checkbox and you get a scratch or a theft protection. Or when you're buying a ticket on a travel website, and you are just checking the travel tech, right?
Insurance.
So
Yeah.
these are embedded flows where you just embed insurance product along with the contextual, like e-commerce sales that is happening, or not even physical sales. And these products sometimes cross over to the warranty world, which is non-insurance, so to speak. But one very interesting thing about insurance is actually a data science problem, right? If you think about it,
Yeah.
how do they decide these premiums? Right? They decide these premium on probability charts, basically, saying that somebody living in Bombay, having a Maruti car of this particular make model, and these many years, what is the chances of them getting into an unfortunate accident, or having a theft, or having a water damage, or having a number of bad scenarios, basically, and calculating probabilities, all of it, multiplying the cost of the that, and then spreading it across their
All
portfolio. And
buyers.
they're saying
Yeah.
what is the for the buyers. And it's basically insurance is nothing else. It's a data science problem in a way. It's
Wow,
basically
it's
spreading the
interesting
risk
that you put
across.
it. That's like a nice
Yeah.
quote for this episode, of course. So, and it's true. I think it resonates with. I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
So basically, if you look at any macro number, right? I mean, macro numbers are generally very stable. Like, pick up any macro number. Like, they don't like fluctuate like really badly. I mean, if you look at, say, for instance, deaths due to TB, you know
Hmm.
how that number is. You know how many accidents happen on a per annum basis, or
Yes.
yes, policies and systems can improve those numbers on a year on year basis, but they don't suddenly change, fall off. But the micro risk, that at a micro level, at a person level, there is the probability of it can vary very widely, because of various factors, environmental factor, personal factors,
Hmm.
and or just plain randomness, like
Yeah.
hit
Hmm.
by a
The
bus.
chaos of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the chaos of it, like
Hmm.
you like, for instance, you can using these models, you can predict the general trend, but you can't say what exactly will happen to this particular the person, or this particular car, or this particular anything. So that's what it does. It basically takes the insurance basically takes the risks and spread it out at a population level, and then manages the risk for people, right?
Hmm.
And it's very I mean, a lot of problems that we see around, they can be actually tackled by insurance. For instance, farmer suicides, most of the farmer suicide that happen because of
Hmm.
crop failures, and crop
Hmm.
failures are something that can be insured against, and now being insured. Similarly, weather events, actually, weather events can also be insured against, because to a very good level probability of uh, cyclone happening. I mean, cyclones, if you see, they happen at a particular in a particular
Yeah.
month most of the time,
In a
and
pattern.
they
Yeah.
generally,
Yeah. It's,
most of the weather people are like worried that there is no cyclone that has happened till now, because that's a cyclone month. It's mostly it will happen, and they know where it will hit. So,
yeah.
but extreme weather events can be, obviously they are increasing due to climate change, etc. But the point is that if you are not insured against it, then it can really ruin your livelihood. And
Hmm.
it's like, there's some very interesting tidbits. Like, for instance, you can't buy a term insurance if you do not have a proof of the income. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know why it is like that, but it is like that. Try to buy a term insurance without proof of income. You will most probably not be able to buy one. And there's no
It's
reason, because term insurance is like just pure protective cover for your
right.
life, but you can't buy if you don't have
A
or
job,
you don't
basically,
have
or something.
a job, or you business, you have a business, and you don't have it in organized sector, and you don't have a verifiable income, then you can't buy. There's something called surrogate proof, and you can use those surrogate proof to say that what is your income level. But if you don't have them, then you will not be able to cover the risk.
But that's a
And
that's a question of policy, right? Or is it part of this data science problem that you said earlier?
I feel it is part of the data science problem, because people, like, the insurers, try to contain their risk in terms of fraudulent behavior, or people misusing
Sure.
it, basically. And that's why they try to peg these things around various different date numbers that are there, and that leads to various such, I would say, unique things in product. For instance, they don't test you in most of the health products, but they will say that you have a mandatory waiting period for 24 months. They could just test
Hmm.
you and say that, okay, now you anything that happens from tomorrow is covered. But
Covered.
no, they
Hmm.
would say pre-existing diseases, PEDs, won't be covered for 24 months. And
Hmm.
that's their way of saving themselves, because they also know that testing is not 100%. Like, some of
Right.
these things are,
Right.
and also the distribution cost is really high. Like, it's in double digit percentages, the distribution cost.
Right.
And that, what that means is that because of the push nature of these products, and that people are not so well aware of these products, the effort required to sell a particular product is very high. And that's where the power of embedded insurance comes in, where it's basically embedded insurance is basically an API for insurance. Insurance as a service, basically. And you can think of it like a API that you hit to just cover the risk, as simple as that.
Nice.
Or you can think
And
of
is
them
this
like
the And is sorry, yeah, you were saying something, but is this you would say is one of those core innovations that you at Coverfox and the team are sort of solving for, the fact that this is the approach to make insurance a lot more. I mean, there is the business angle of it, right? The fact that
yeah,
people should be covered on many examples like you gave. Like, it's
right,
one is awareness that they can be covered. Second is just
right,
ability to make the decision faster or more natural.
yeah.
Uh, so how have you seen the performance of this sort of embedded approach versus any other approach to push this?
So embedded approach is working quite well, I would say. It's still
Yeah.
nascent. I won't say that it is ready to, it has already taken over the primary product. It has not. Like, primary products are still like these big irons which cover all kinds of risk, and for all kind of people. And that's why insurance companies would like to sell them, because the premiums are higher. One particular
Correct.
product that you sell is large, but these are actually like sachet, basically. These embedded insurance products are mostly like sachet. Like, that's why it is. And the most uninsured also lives in the areas where sachet products work the best, right? And
Correct.
which is
Correct.
the rural market, or semi-urban market, or even urban market, where the people do not have like formal income proof, right? There you can sell these sachet products, which are very cheap, low cost, and gives cover to the risk that really matters to that particular person, right? And it's very easy to buy, extremely easy to buy without any much paperwork, and easy to understand also, because it covers only a part of the risk. It is not very difficult to understand. There's no crazy words like endowment or things like that, which I
Right.
today I don't know the real meaning of. So the point of embedded insurance is this satiation, easing the product and making the product much more simpler, and then wider distribution. Like, somebody can probably build a UPI for insurance and make it like a single product across insurers, a single
Right.
a simple product, but like, singular API, so that everyone can use it. To
Right.
answer your question about Coverfox, Coverfox is basically working on these two. We are now we have started a new company called Coverstack, and it is basically technology for
Nice.
insurance, and technology for insurance distribution, I would say. And we basically cater to both of these the areas, where one we are selling embedded insurance, and the other is where we are allowing the existing financial institutions, or other companies, to sell insurance through their existing customer, through their existing platform. So for instance, ICICI Direct is one of the customers that has onboarded us, and we are selling insurance on ICICI Direct through the journeys that we have built in Coverstack. And they obviously have a huge client base who buy all
Right.
kinds of products. So we provide a bouquet of product there. We also have tied up with Spinny. Spinny is as you know, as a
Used
used car
cars.
market,
Yeah.
and the insurance for them is a hassle. For just like a normal person is a hassle. It's a hassle. We take care of the hassle. We provide a API that directly integrates with their CRM and issues the policy as soon as the car is sold. So these are embedded flows, right? These are
Right.
not really sachet flows. So sachet flow comes into places where there are people who are like, NBFCs who are already giving loans out to people. The biggest reason a normal person is not able to pay, intent issue is apart from intent issue, not ability to pay, is because they have a health problem. So a lot of these NBFCs try to add a small ticket size insurance product. It's like 300 rupees for an annum, that kind of premium, right? But it covers only 500 rupees per day of hospitalization. That's about it. It's called cash. So it's a hospital cash. So till the time you are in hospital, give you some money. So these kind of products are very innovative. These are sachet products. These get embedded into the loan disbursement flow, get added to the person, and automatically the risk cover is added. And this, in a way, helps both. It's a win-win. It's a win-win for the loan company and the person who is taking the loan. And insurer also wins because they are getting extra premium. I mean, without any major customer acquisition effort, because there is already a large distributor. You don't have to acquire a customer, sell it, the push sales to them. It's just an API that you are providing. And we are providing that API basically. So that's the promise.
No, so this cover stack is obviously quite another level of innovation, I would say, within the insure tech community that you guys are building. But again, and I think it's basically because you realize the problem is this, right? It is that access, the ability to sell it, the distribution problem. Like all of these things are what you're essentially solving for. And on the back end, obviously, you're doing all the heavy lifting of like the data science problem, like you said, as to how much, what value, what premium, etc., etc.
So what is the data science
Yeah.
problem? That's mostly insurers who do the data science problem. Yeah, I am more like I'm more of a pipe, right? I mean, I'm connecting all the insurers on a singular platform to as a singular API. It's more like a
Correct.
Payment gateway, or it's more like a API to do things in a singular way. That's about it.
Correct. And so then so now you've seen these sort of avenues of growth. You've obviously, this is, because it's in the fintech space, you're a layer. So you're obviously monetized sort of a product. What is this? Is this now a scale challenge for you going forward? Like what is the next 18, 24 months for you? What are the focus areas? Give us a little bit of direction on what you're thinking around.
Oh, yes, definitely. Scale is a big chunk for it. We also need to figure out a lot of things in product to make sure, like there's so many people, so many companies who would like to sell insurance to their existing client base, and we deploy this platform at various ends. But the speed of deployment can be faster. Product portfolio can be more wider. The time and effort that it requires to deploy for a new ICICI direct kind of client reach can be much more smaller, and product can be simpler. So a lot of things have to be figured out. I would say we are still pretty much into the 0 to 1 kind of cycle, but I don't see the next step being very far away, because we already have a lot of MVPs there, I would say, and it's working well in terms of having a minimum viable product. But now, yes, there's still things to be figured out in product, and once we have figured them out, then we can push the pedal for next step.
Nice. Any I know it's more closing notes, but any what are you looking for now? You've spoke so much about the startup ecosystem in your early days to obviously what you see today. You have become a Bangalore person from your origins in Bombay. Obviously the market is so different, but what are you looking forward to? Are you want to leave a message to listeners who are interested in this space, or even looking to start up or anything else?
No, I feel insurance is a great career space to build. Like I mentioned, I mean, it's a pretty large industry, and it's a very specialized industry. Most of the companies work pretty much in the same manner, right? Once you get into it, and there's a lot of jargon, like, oh my god, jargon. So once you get into it and you understand the market, it's a specialized market, but it's a large market. You can build a career. So any youngsters look, who are willing to try out their career space in insurance, would love to talk to them. You can reach out to me on my LinkedIn, or I am on Twitter also, and would love to this space can definitely use a lot more talent than it has got now, till now. I mean, the ride hailing, the travel, the e-commerce has had seen a lot of influx of youngsters who were willing to
Right.
solve the problem, and a lot of them got solved. I think insurance is ripe for disruption, where not just not disruption. It's more like scale up, where it will go much more wider. It will go become much bigger than what it is right now. So I feel, yes, the message is definitely, I feel that just like 2012 of Ola, or the 2006 of Cleartrip, I see cover stack in 2022 at the same level. I feel next
Wow,
10
nice.
years are going to be like really really transformative for the insurance industry. So can, if you're a builder, would more than happy to talk.
No, definitely. Because I mean, given the stats you shared with us earlier in terms of percentage of tech distribution of insurance, plus global numbers, all of that, I think as a country, as a population, we obviously are warming up to getting insured, and then there is the digitalization of it, or the digital journey of buying insurance. So definitely,
And
it does seem
sashayization of
like
it,
early
like,
days.
yeah,
Sasha,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
No, Piyush, I mean, I think what, again, reflecting on the conversation, I think, given the fact that you've been part of these sort of breakthrough journeys, I think now it makes total sense that you'll, this is also going to be another breakthrough journey over the years for you.
I hope
So
so.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing this insight with us. It's a lot of, obviously, a lot of the people in the startup ecosystem today sort of are seeing the current phase only. They've seen it, or they're getting into the fray when it's already established. So now, I mean, we have other problems of uh, too much bloat of engineers, and too much other challenges are there. While I said, people who want to work on tough problems should always try to join actual places which will help them grow. I think that's the recommendation you're also saying. So look forward to sharing the details with everyone here. Thank you so much for this conversation. Of course, for people listening in, if you like this, if you want to reach out to Piyush, we'll share all the places where you can reach him. And of course, for us, wherever you're listening to this podcast, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere else, leave us a review and a rating, as they say, so that we can do better and we can spread the word. Piyush, thank you so much. This was
Thank you
enlightening.
so
I
much for
really
having
hope.
me. I mean, really like nice
Yeah.
conversation. Thank you so much.
No, no, no. Absolutely. I know I owe you a catch up next time I'm in Bangalore. But
I'm
this
looking
was
forward
really
to that.
great. I'm glad we could do this. Thank you so much.